I'm Effie, and this is What Effie Reads. Welcome to my weekly reading vlog. I'm not long in from work, that's my working week done. I am absolutely desperate for a shower. I feel disgusting. But after that, I think it's just going to be doing bits here and there. I need to update my reading journal because obviously it's a new month. I also need to set up my bullet journal for the week. I have to do bits and bobs of housework, and I'm sure there's other stuff that I've forgotten. But the other thing that I'd really like to do is get a bit more reading done. I feel like I'm making pretty good progress with Booknetathon because I've now finished Heartstopper and Speak, and I feel like there was a third one. Yeah, When Life Gives You Mangoes. So that's 3 squares that I can already tick off. Although I've just remembered I need to read The Bright and the Pale this week, so that should take up some of my time. Oh, I almost forgot. The weather was really weird this morning. I will insert a clip, but basically it was clear sky and incredibly foggy. It's really spooky how foggy it is this morning. And I'm loving the way the trees look with all that fog. It's so eerie. And look at that clear blue sky as well. So weird. So I haven't played Animal Crossing in quite a while now, and I've just had this desire to pick it up, see how much my island has just turned into a mess. If it's turned into a mess, see if anyone gives me any subtle digs about having not played in ages. And I also have an ulterior reason, but that will all be revealed in due time. So let's get into playing this game. When I first started playing Animal Crossing, it was the winter. We got it as a Christmas present. So I'm kind of not used to the game without snow. I have not missed this. Ooh! So many of these lines, I don't know if they've been put in post-pandemic or if they just hit differently because of the pandemic. Ooh, what good luck. Oh, that's my hair. All messed up. Much better. Oh, let's check the mailbox. Oh, it's Rolf. Yes, he wants to chat to me. Yeah, Rolf. Oh, I love him. I've kind of missed this game. I think I stopped playing because I would sink hours and hours into it. Like, I'm talking like 7 hours at a time. Shall I put a warp pipe? I think I'll put a warp pipe down. Yay! Pumpkins. We've got Snooty and Theory. Fauna. I love Fauna. She's one of my favourites. Oh. Let's see what Snooty has to say. They are all being a bit cheeky with me. Oh dear, let's see what messages I've got. Upcoming fishing tourney. Well, I missed that. That's a shame. Mayday's coming. Giving you a special travel ticket. Claim yours, swing by the airport. Cool. Guess I'll do that next. This is so fun. But I can see how I just like sunk time into this game. I've already made a really good start on my housework today. Now I'm in the process of trying to scan a massive wad of documentation. So I've popped on an audiobook and I'm probably gonna end up finishing it before I've scanned all this stuff. Hopefully not, but I'm not optimistic because the pile of papers is really quite chunky. Like, this is how chunky it is, and I've got to scan all of these, and they're primarily double-sided. So, could be a busy day.
I told you to shut your damn mouth when you said you weren't good enough. Said you weren't worth my time. Boy, you couldn't stop crying. I told you to shut your damn mouth when you said you weren't strong enough. Didn't wanna bring me down, but we're already falling. You've got your baggage and I've got mine, so what? I love you the most when you're falling over. You've got your baggage and I've got mine, so what? So what? You're only afraid of love when it's sitting next to you. Well, I'm sitting right here. Never want to move. And everything this world has ever put you through gave you a diamond heart. It's polished by your scars. You've got your baggage and I've got mine, so what? I love you the most when you're falling over. You've got your baggage and I've got mine, so what? Cause babe, it's not as heavy as you think. So try to stop your mind from overthinking. Cause babe, it's not as heavy as you think. So try and stop your mind from overthinking. Cause babe, it's not as heavy as you think. So try and stop your mind baggage and I've got mine, so what? I love us the most when we're falling over.
I'm all snuggled up now because I've been feeling really cold these past couple of days, which is probably because it has been cold. But anyway, I was looking back over the clips that I filmed this week and I've realised that I haven't actually spoken about what I've been reading. On Tuesday, I managed to finish The Evolution by Tom and Giovanna Fletcher. It is the second book in the Eve of Man trilogy. This is a series that there's only 2 books out so far, and I'm not sure when the third is going to come out. The first book I had quite a lot of difficulty rating because it felt like, until I knew how the rest of the series was going to play out, I didn't know how I was going to feel about that first book. And the second book was pretty disappointing, actually. It was very, very clearly the middle book in a trilogy, and it felt like a lot of things happened to then kind of double back on themselves. So it felt like a lot of filler and that nothing had any stakes to it. There were quite a few things that did happen, but as I say, they didn't feel like they meant anything. And then right at the end of the book, the cliffhanger was something that, as soon as a certain thing happened, I'm going to speak in spoilers, so skip to when I don't have my hand up if you don't want spoilers for The Evolution. Bram and Eve get together towards the start of the book, and as soon as they got together, you immediately know, oh right, Eve's gonna get pregnant, and then that becomes the cliffhanger for the end of this book. And I'm like, yeah, duh, that was really, really obvious. And honestly, the book felt like that was the whole point. Like, this book was just for Eve to get pregnant. And there were a lot of things that surprised me. There were a lot of reveals in this book. But I think it's going to be one of those trilogies that I finish out because it interests me enough to see where the story's going. But it's not going to be a new favourite. It's probably not going to be one that I reread. It's going to be, once it's finished, and I'm not going to think about it. The next book that I've been reading this week is Everything Together by Benjamin Class. It is the sequel to Second Dad Summer, which follows Jeremiah, a young boy who goes to stay with his father for the summer, and he's not the biggest fan of his father's new boyfriend. So that was Second Dad Summer, and Everything Together follows on from that. I was surprised how much I loved Second Dad Summer, because one of the key things that you had in the story was a gay elder, and you got some kind of queer history through him, and there was just a lot more substance, and it was a lot heavier than I'd expected. And then Everything Together, I wasn't sure how it was going to maintain that gravitas that the first book had. What Class does with this story is introduce some Muslim characters to bring another dimension to the story, as well as discussing refugees. And it was just a really great story. It had a lot of love, but also it touched on things that are deeper. So it was a book that I really enjoyed, and I'm very glad that again I've had a chance to read an advanced copy of it, and I'm hoping that there's going to be more in this series, because I didn't expect there to be a sequel, and now that I've read the sequel, I just want more from this story. And now I'm reading The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski, and I'm also reading Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. So far, The Bright and the Pale hasn't hooked me. I'd say I'm probably about a third of the way through. So you can see there. And it feels like this is going to be a relatively slow-paced story, and I've got no idea where it's going. The use of italics for non-English words is annoying me, and I'm not sure why. And I'm hoping there's not going to be a romance, but it feels like it might be gearing towards a bit of a romance. It's reading a lot more like the younger end of YA, which is fine, but it isn't what I went into it expecting, I suppose. I don't know. I'm quite enjoying Chain of Iron. I don't know how far I am in it. Quite far, because I've been listening to the audiobook, and I spent a lot of time updating my reading journal yesterday. So I popped that on and was listening for about 3 hours. There's been a lot of twists and turns. I'm kind of waiting for some moments that I've heard about. I think it's made people cry. It shocked people, so I keep expecting that to happen, and that hasn't happened yet. I don't know. Hopefully I will remember to actually check in again, and I will let you know how I get on with the rest of these 2 books. I've now managed to finish The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. There were some things that really just weren't my favourite. It felt really slow, and it used one of my least favourite tropes. But at the same time, I'm interested to see where the story goes. From what I can tell, it's part of a duology, so I probably will pick up the next book when it comes out. But it's not going to be a high priority for me. I think this book could have worked better as a standalone and spent less time building up to the action. But again, I'm not going to know until I read part 2 of the duology. But it was a fun read. Essentially, it was just very middle of the road. But it's read now, so I can kind of put it on my shelves, not really think about it too much. And maybe I'll get a chance to reread it in the future and feel differently. You never know. One final thing I will say about this book is a character has been introduced as being gay, so I'd love to see that explored a bit more. I finished Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare the other day, and I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with it. If you don't want to hear anything about this book, like you've not got into it yet, please just skip forward to when I'm not holding up this tome anymore. I think for the most part this was an enjoyable read, but the way that it ended just didn't feel like there was any stakes to it. Like there's a couple of things that need tying up. She's setting up a love triangle, which I'm kind of mad about. And it just felt like I think you were meant to feel a sense of peril about a certain character and what they've gotten themselves into, but I didn't feel any danger or anything. I'm sure the next book will resolve things and it'll be enjoyable, because knowing Claire, she will wrap it up. It'll be a trilogy. I don't know, it may have already been announced that this is a trilogy. But the ending on this was so weak. I did really enjoy the additional content. There's a story about Jem and Magnus at the end, and that was really, really enjoyable. But beyond that, it was just a bit of a rubbish ending, really. And now I'm not sure if I'm going into a bit of a reading slump or if I've just got like stuff going on in my life that's stressing me out and it's making it hard for me to focus on reading. I started Love Beyond Body, Space and Time. It's an anthology of LGBTQ plus and two-spirit science fiction stories. And I didn't love it at first, but I think that's because it takes about 15 pages for the short stories to actually begin. But what I've read so far, I'm really enjoying. But I'm just finding that I'm not picking up books, which is not ideal. I also started No Exit by Taylor Adams, but I'm not far enough in to have any real thoughts on it, to be honest. I think I'm only 2% in and nothing's really happened yet because I'm only 2% in. I feel like I haven't gotten much reading done this week. I have finished 7 books, but I think it's just that I haven't had a nice big chunk of time to sit down and read this week. I'm hoping that this next week I can actually just devote a day to reading, because I think that will help a lot, just being able to sit and relax. If I can sit still for a whole day, that is. So, what have I read this week? The first thing that I finished was Heartstopper. I didn't quite finish it by the end of last Sunday, so that rolled into this week. And then I read 2 more of the weird erotic horror graphic novels. They weren't amazing and they were really quite, no, actually, they they weren't very horrifying or erotic. Like, I wasn't looking for the erotic side of things. I picked them up because I was curious, like, how that would work as a concept. I think the most disappointing thing was that they were so short and then they just ended really abruptly. Then I finished the Eve Illusion and I didn't have a great time with that as well. It felt like nothing much happened. But at least I've listened to it now. So I've just got the final book, which I'm not sure if it's got a title yet. But I will be keeping an eye on that and hopefully manage to listen to the audiobook of that when that comes out as well. The next book that I finished is pretty much my standout read of the week, and that's Everything Together, which is the sequel to Second Dad Summer, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it probably as much as I had actually enjoyed Second Dad Summer. It was a fun middle grade with great representation across the board, and I thoroughly recommend. It's out, I believe it's out at the start of August, so definitely keep an eye out for it. Oh, sorry, that's my cat headbutting my tripod. She's such a cheeky devil. The final two books that I finished this week were The Bright and the Pale, which was just really, really meh. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good. It just didn't excite me. And I was a little bit disappointed because I was hoping for something that I was going to love. And I also finished Chain of Iron, which was not as good as Chain of Gold, and that makes me quite sad. The main body of the story was quite enjoyable, but the ending just didn't feel like a very tight ending. I'll still read the next book because it is a series that I'm generally enjoying. It just didn't quite live up to expectations. I think that's everything. Until next time, bye!